Alright, that is the center of attention today. That is the KICC, where at Shimba Hills in there, the presidential candidates are going to be submitting their papers. As you can see also at the corner of your screen there, Mohammed Abduba Dida of the Alliance for Real Change is getting ready. He is at KICC. Raila Odinga is at the All Saints Cathedral, where they are there. He is for a short prayer service, and then he'll be heading to KICC. So there you have it there. In case you just joined us, we already heard from Mohammed Abduba Dida, who says that he is pretty much ready for this time round, and he says he's the teacher, the Kenyans are the pupils. He's ready to teach them a lesson. The question is, will they receive it? And then of course also Raila Odinga, who is going to be heading there a little bit later on. He is in church with, as you can see there, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who is his running mate, who has just arrived early on there. Of course, there they are now. That is the team that will be going to KICC a little bit later on. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, the running mate in NASA, and Raila Odinga, who is the flag bearer. Also with them there, the other co-principals also. We have the Chama Chamashinani and also the Bomet governor, who is there as well as the Kruto, and also ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi, is there as well. As you can see, of course, they being a church service, there quite some movement there at the holding room at IEBC. That is Mohammed Abduba Dida and the running mates getting ready to present their nomination papers over there as well. So of course we are continuing with our coverage there. We'll be linking up later on once there is some more movement there with Sam Gituku. He's the one who is holding fort for Citizen Television right there at the station at the KICC. And then of course there are others who will be submitting their papers today. And also remember that the list has increased. Yesterday there were only 8 of them, but there are some 2 names that were added. That is Erastus Nyamera Masira and Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu. The list of those presenting their papers are now 10. Japheth Kavinga Kaluyu will come next at 10:30, but now of course because of the delay we expect it to be a little bit later on. And then Raila Odinga was expected to be there at 11:45, but then again occasioning the delay we expect that to also be pushed a little bit further on. And Joseph William Ndiga Nyaga, 1:15 p.m. So that is the list of those who will be presenting the papers today. Of course tomorrow we have President Uhuru Kenyatta and others as well who will be submitting their papers. On to kick off and continue with the conversation, Mike Agwanda is still with us here. Mike who says he's still not convinced with the other people who appear to just show up later on within. But then Mike, of course, the question I would ask is, are these people still, are we likely to see another surprise? Looking at the list of the people, the 10 of them who are going to be presenting the papers, are we likely to see any more surprises like we did with the Dida last time, gathering 52,848 votes? Are we likely to see any other surprise from the other who are not the quote-unquote 2 horses?
Absolutely not. I will not expect anything different from what we already know. I will not expect any change of mind from the electorates to include any third party or third individual to be among the 2 serious candidates that we have, and that is President Uhuru Kenyatta and Honorable Raila Odinga. I don't see them saying anything that will twist the mind of the people to a point where they'll be considered to be serious candidates. You know, as I said earlier, again, we are looking at you being the president of this country or president of any nation. You ought to have started from a journey. The journey ought to have started way back, and you ought to have traversed the entire country. You ought to have talked to people and told them your ambitions, told them your vision for the country, and you need to be a national leader besides just being in Nairobi here and decided that you want to run for president. You need to probably appeal to people in some in a way that people will be able to remember you because of the tasks that perhaps you performed in the past. I mean, the only serious candidates, some of the people that you will say will be near there, for example, last time we had the likes of Martha Karua that were even beaten by a rookie in the name of Abduba Dida, and you can see that perhaps she was not appealing to the people to that point. Most of these people, this is their first appearance as presidential aspirants. This is their first appearance perhaps in the public glare as a politician, and therefore they will be seen for the first time. My thought, my gut tells me that these people just want to, some of them just want to be seen and to steal the public limelight so that they reign for presidency, perhaps put that in their CV, perhaps just stand there and after that be able to rub shoulders with the presidential aspirants, serious contenders, and for that reason say, you know, in the subsequent government said, you know, I also run for government, and so is here. Abduba is here. Always Abduba, he ran for president. And so if that's perhaps what they're looking at, you know, by adding into their name that we ran for president and not necessarily votes, because I really don't think they will get votes from all the counties. I mean, 24 counties, that is a requirement. I don't think they will get any votes that will be able to be a swing vote, if anything. I think they have a right, but I can tell you that these men and women ought to have been known without just them appearing on a presidential debate on June of the 14th. And I think if that's what they're looking at, they have it. Right. I hope that, yeah.
Mike, I'm going to have to cut you short right there. Apologies for that, but you can see there Mohammed Dida now is going to be ushered in to the hall where the IEBC officials are going to be waiting for him. On a crossover to Sam Gituku, who is at KICC, to take us through this process. So over to you, Sam.
Right, Rabur, as you said, yes, Abduba Dida, the aspirant, the presidential aspirant on Alliance for Real Change, is making his entry into the hall where he needs to present his documents. Of course, he has been waiting for a few minutes, and now he comes through to be processed at the registration desk here, where he will be presenting his documentation, his ID card, and there will be verification of whether he is a registered voter. But the commissioners are requesting for just a moment so that he can be taken in. But currently, as you can see there, he is waiting. And Dida is now being invited into the panel. That is Titus Ngetuni, the running mate, and Abduba Dida, the aspirant, have been ushered into the hall. And now he goes to the registration desk where he will have his identification documents perused, confirmed, but first he has to sign the attendance list, or what you may call the visitor's book. He has to indicate that he attended this session, and so now he goes through that registration, indicating
and also going through the vetting
and his remarks in as far as this process goes. But currently the agents here of IEBC have already gone through the documentation of Dida, from academic certification, his citizenship documentation, that is the ID card, and also having to go through his signatures to see if they are 40,000 as required by law, and also to indicate whether they are as desired by the commission. And so shortly he will be having his biometrics verified, whether he is a registered voter with IEBC, because that is one of the requirements for any aspirant to be cleared to run in an election. So shortly we'll see him give his biometrics to the device that is being used in this election. They call it the Kenya Integrated Elections Management System. So he'll have his details verified shortly. We'll wait to see how that goes. And there is the clerk going through that device to see if it works. And so shortly, that is the main idea to be happening here. And he has been verified to be a registered voter, and so now any moment he proceeds on to take his seat where he'll be meeting with the commissioners. And Babu, just to indicate that Abduba Dida is the second aspirant to appear before the commission for the all-important clearance process. So now he receives his documentation, his document wallet. It has all what has been received by the IEBC, and he carries those documents to present them to the returning officer in this election, who is the chairman of IEBC, Ofuleche Bukati. And so now he moves to take his seat, and he'll have a moment with the commissioners to verify his documentation, to verify that he has paid the nomination fee of 200,000 Kenya shillings, and there he is shaking hands with the IEBC chair, the returning officer of this presidential election, as it were. And next to him is Titus Kasulu, the running mate for Dida. He is 27 years old. As I spoke a few moments ago with Dida, he says that they chose him because they feel that the youth are a vibrant lot in Kenya, and it is a moment for them to have this.
Take a moment to go through, then we'll pick it up from there.
And so now, there is the process, just as what happened with the first aspirant, Ekuru Okot. The same verification process will be happening. Let's wait and see and hear what the commissioners will have to say, whether they will clear him or they will give a negative answer. But the candidate, the aspirant, is hopeful that this will go through. Let's listen in to what the commissioners are saying, the conversation they're having with Abduba Dida, but so far they're just going through the documentation, checking the documentation against the checklist that they already have, to see if everything required in this process has been supplied by the aspirants. So we'll be waiting to hear any pronouncements from the side of the commissioners, because now the aspirants' fate is in the hands of the commission, quite literally. So currently they're looking at the identification document, a copy of the ID card of the aspirant, as well as some passport photos of the aspirant, and now looking at the degree certificates that he has provided, as well as the other forms that have been filled by the aspirant, getting to see if all the information required by the commission has been provided. It's quite a rigorous process for anyone wishing to run for presidency. It's not as any other position. There are quite a lot of requirements that they have to comply with, and so that is what the commissioners are going through to check and see if everything required has been supplied. One may wonder why the commissioners are just perusing through the papers. We have the indication, the communication that much of the verification has already happened prior to the aspirants appearing before the commission. So it's more of a confirmation process, because the commission has had time to peruse through the documentation of these candidates since they filed their aspiration to vie on the 10th of May. So they have had about 18 days or so to look at the documentation, and so here they're just confirming what they have against the original documentation that the aspirants present. And currently we can see the IEBC chair holding. Let's just listen to what he has to say.
The documents from the aspirant before us. Now we have your degree certificates need to be certified. That's one of the conditions. We require your degree and the one of your running mate certified. It's not certified. The copies we have are not certified. And also the self-declaration forms for both the presidential aspirant and the running mate need to be signed and commissioned before commissioner votes. They are both not signed. So can we give you time to sort out your papers and come around what time? Before 4 o'clock. If you can have this certified, the commissioner votes will sign the self-declaration forms and commission them. And then these are the only documents we have seen which have issues. Then we can proceed with you around before 4. All right. Thank you. So I'll return everything intact and we'll come back. He's coming back before 4. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Thank you. Please go this way.
Right, there is the aspirant Abduba Dida. He has just received his documentation back. There is a challenge with his documentation. His degree certificate has not been certified. That is, the copy of the degree certificate has not been certified. And also for his running mate, Titus Kasolo, and also his self-declaration form has not been signed and stamped by a commissioner for oaths, and he has to go and rectify that situation because the papers cannot be accepted as they are. But it's not a very serious process, it's not a very problematic process. He just needs to go and have his degree certificate, the copies as it were, certified. And let's hear if he has anything to say.
What are your reactions as to how the process was inside there?
Well, thank you so much. IEBC is the commissioners and the team is new, and when I compare how we were handled last elections and this, there's so many presidential aspirants who had the potential and the will to contest or proposed their decisions. They were all received. They were given the conditions, and after the vetting, those who qualified had 1 day with IEBC last elections. Yeah. This time, up to yesterday 4, we didn't know our fate. Up to yesterday 4. I don't blame them because there are so many things that are supposed to be done other than handling which candidate. I remember some being cleared at 6. Last night, and the banks were not open, the bankers check and all this, and you cannot actually out of the blue declare yourself a candidate.
Maybe to cut it short, presidential aspirant Abduba Dida, you have had a situation, your degree certificate, the copy has not been certified, and a self-declaration form has not been signed by a commission of oaths. Why so? Didn't you know that you're supposed to do this?
All the copies, the transcripts, yeah, all of them are certified by Kenyatta University. Now what the team did, they photocopied the original certificate, but all the other documents were certified, and they're certified. So it's not a big deal, and some of our staffs are also as new as IEBC. So we will actually go out and certify that and bring them back.
So how soon can you handle that, and what time do you expect to come back and present your paper?
It is already done. It is already done because those who are to certify came. The commissioner of oath came. Yeah. What was not certified was the certificate that the original was not certified. Yeah. And the running mate's declaration, self-declaration. According to the instructions given, the declaration was last time done by the presidential aspirant, and this time I thought it was the presidential aspirant, but now they said also the running mate has to do it. Okay. But the commission of oath who is supposed to do it is part of this team interviewing me. He's already here with his pen and, and probably his stamp.
Your next step from here?
I will go and have a break. Yeah, because I want to give the first lesson. Immediately I'm given my certificate.
So when do you come back?
They will call me before 4.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll call me before 4. It's just the stamping. But because of the inconveniences I mentioned, I already ate into the time of schedule for the next candidate. So I'll create some space and then when it is done, they will call me back.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That has been the presidential aspirant for Alliance for Real Change, Abduba Dida, there indicating the situation that he caught himself in, having his copy of degree certificate and that of his running mate, as well as the self-declaration form not stamped and certified, the Commissioner for Oaths. And so he will be expecting to be called back probably before 4 p.m. If it doesn't happen today, then he may have to wait until tomorrow. But for now, what he does is that he leaves these premises, he leaves the KICC to pave way for the next presidential candidate, who is supposed to be Raila Odinga, who is currently attending a church service at All Saints Cathedral. So they're expecting him to come through. But Rabu, the intervening candidate between Dida and Raila Odinga was a gentleman by the name Japhet Kaluyu, but understandably he requested for time. He requested to be allowed to come in tomorrow because he felt that he was not as prepared as he should be, so he has been given that leeway. But to make up for that time, then Raila Odinga will be having to come through. Initially he had been set to come in at about 11:45, but the revised calendar, the revised program has that he has to be in by 10:30. But we'll be expecting to see if that will happen as we get to monitor the situation, the preparations that are here, and also we understand that quite a number of supporters of Raila Odinga are already waiting outside the KICC. So we'll be going to monitor that, but for now we hand it back to you so that we can get that opportunity, Raburu, to move to the next scene. Raburu.
Right, Sam Gitugu there, quite comprehensive as well, and we thank you for that. And like he has just said there, Dida's documents, news just indicates documents, some of them are not certified. The degree certificate was not certified, and that of his running mate as well. And self-declaration forms not signed and stamped by Commissioner for Oaths, but like we saw there, Dida saying that the said Commissioner of Oaths is somewhere around the KICC, ready with the pen and a stamp. Is set to go in there at around 4. So we're going to release Sam to go ahead and look for what he says is a party, or rather people already milling outside KICC in terms of the support base. Raila Odinga is at the All Saints Cathedral wrapping up a service there, and then they're going to go ahead and there he is at the All Saints Cathedral. Now, Mike, goes to what you had talked about, I guess, about the preparation of these new candidates to run for this post, the latest development.
You know, what I'm seeing here is exactly what I said when I walked in here, that it's not going to be a walk in the park for some of these candidates. If Abduba had been there before, and you remember when he was being interviewed first, when he just walked in at KICC, he said he has experience, he's been there before, and therefore was expecting this process to go very smooth, because this is a repeat for him. Well, I think he overlooked some few things. To me, they're not very huge things. It might not require him up to tomorrow. Perhaps he'll just need a commission of oath to certify his papers that I believe he had, and that can be done. He can get an attorney to do that today, sign it and stamp it, and then it returns to KICC and IEBC for that reason to satisfy him and also to pass him as a presidential aspirant. In this case, I'm wondering about the other ones that have not done it before, and perhaps might be having the same problem that Abduba is having, and it's just a matter of time before we see them come and perhaps be told you don't have this and this, and sometimes we'll be worrying. For example, if somebody doesn't have anything to do with NEB for one reason or another, or CRB, it would be totally impossible to get CRB open the offices today to satisfy or to give them a certificate. And so there might be some more technical issues than what Abduba is having today. And for that reason, I think Abduba is having it easy. He'll just have to get an attorney, and attorney will certify those papers for him. But the rest, I really don't know what technicalities they might be having. And so we'll wait to see what is happening. But the truth of the matter, it's good to be called a presidential aspirant, but I think it is also very good to be prepared for it, because you could hear Abduba trying to blame IEBC and saying, well, we didn't have enough time with them. That is not an excuse in my view, because, well, if you're a presidential aspirant, it is your responsibility to go and seek for those verification even ahead of time instead of waiting until the last day. And so the question of IEBC did not have time for us does not work, as Abduba is trying to tell us. I mean, he knew that this date had been set for a Sunday. He is the one, I believe, who made that appointment for Sunday, and therefore he knew that there were requirements that he needed to put together before that date. So let's not blame IEBC here for sending people away. Let's blame the candidates themselves for not doing what they were supposed to do in readiness and in preparation for this very day.
Right, of course, those requirements, as you said, the candidate is supposed to submit these documents to the Commission of during the commission nominations. So they are the certified copies of the education qualification certificates, and that is where Abduba Dida had the challenge. So it is required that there needs to be a degree certificate in accordance with Section 22 of the Election Act of 2011 and Regulation 47 of the General Elections of 2012. Of course, they're supposed to have a copy of their national identity card or a passport or the document used by the candidate to register as a voter, passport-size photograph of white background with hard and soft copy. So, and then if they're a party candidate, they need to have, of course, a nomination certificate from a fully registered political party nominating the candidate, a duly signed and dated code of conduct, a duly filled commission nomination form, including an original statutory declaration form for purposes of nomination, that is Regulation 18 of the Electoral General Regulations of 2012, and of course for both political party and independent candidates, electronic and printed copy. And then of course also there's the nominated fees or a banker's check payable to IEBC of 200,000, that is for candidates. And if you're a youth, remember Abduba Dida is running mate who also has a problem with their certificates. He's 27-year-old, so it's 100,000 for candidates who is a youth and a woman or a person with disability. If you're an independent candidate, there are slightly different lists there that we're going to be talking about once we have one of the independent candidates also later coming in. As Sam Gituku told us, one of them by the name Jafet Kavinda Kaluyu, who is an independent candidate, was set to submit his papers, but he's asked for more time, so he's coming in tomorrow. So who we're expecting now is, of course, the Raila Amolo Odinga of the Orange Democratic Movement. He's set to come in. As you can see, though, he's still at the All Saints Cathedral preparing to go in there. Now also Mike can pick brain about a lot of preparations, and we'll also be crossing over to Sam Gituku a little bit later on at the KICC to find out the recent developments there. But we also are going to just go ahead and ask Mike, sorry, so we're ready with Sam? Right, so we're going to cross over to Sam Gituku. Mike, we're going to bring you in a little bit later on. But let's cross over to Sam Gituku, who has latest development. He's outside the KICC at the City Hall section, where, like he told us, the supporters of Raila Amolo Odinga were milling in over there. So, Sam, over to you.
Wow, Raburu, I'm not sure I can hear you clearly, but behind me there's some several supporters of what we believe are supporters of Raila Odinga because of how they are dressed. We've seen several of them getting to mill around here just outside the City Hall gate that is used by the VIPs, including Governor Evans Kidero, and they have been camping here as early as 1.5 hours ago, and their mission here is just to show their solidarity with the ODM candidate, who is also the flag bearer for National Super Alliance. So they've been here getting to wait for their candidate to arrive. So let's just try to walk closer to them so that we can see if we can get any word from them and what they have to say and why they are here, because apparently there has been a situation that the security officers here have to make sure that there's no sort of interference from the supporters here, and we'll be trying to talk to some of them. Let's see whom we can talk to. Gentlemen, how are you? What's your name?
I'm the professor.
What's your name?
My name is Professor Matumbo.
And who are you here?
I'm here to present Pasaris, woman rep of Nairobi. Okay. You have come to escort Pasaris.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thus, he is on a different mission. He's not here for Raila Odinga. He's here for Pasaris. Let's see, so that we're able to establish who is here. And let's go to the guy who is addressing people here. Just a moment, sir. Just a moment, sir. You are live on Citizen TV.
Oh, we are live.
Yes.
Very happy. Wakenya oye! Wakenya oye! Citizen oye! Citizen TV oye! Leo mmefurahi? Unafurahi na Citizen TV? Inasema ukweli ama urongo? Ukweli. Nataka mniambie, Citizen inasema ukweli ama urongo? Ukweli. Na hizo zingine uongo, si ndio? Usitaji. Haya.
Raburu, I wasn't expecting that, but it's okay. So the question here is, who are you and why are you here?
Yes, the reason why I'm here, I'm a very strong supporter of Raila Amolo Odinga. Yes, since in the beginning up to today. Yes, so my name is Obiro Kobiro, the opinion leader. Obiro Kobiro Daktari. Yes, are you happy?
Why are you here? Why are you here?
Yeah, the reason why I'm here, today we have come here to escort His Excellency Raila, the Prime Minister, the President of Kenya, who is already just some few days. How many days? Few days. Yeah, so we are here to escort him up to KICC, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, madam, if I may speak to you, what's your name and what's your expectation as Raila Odinga prepares to come and present his papers?
My expectation, my name is Angie. I'm a strong supporter of ODM from Embakasi North. My expectation as Raila presents his papers on date 9 August. We are going to swear him in as the President of Republic of Kenya. Yes. Because he has already taken, we are just waiting for his sworn in. Yeah.
Right. Raburu, okay, there's another lady here who will not let us go. Okay then, what's your name and where do you come from?
My names are Margaret Ngani. I'm in Nairobi. I'm a voter in Nairobi. I'm a strong supporter of ODM, and also I'm a founder member of multipartyism. From 1990 I've been here in this very good fight. I believe this is the right time for this man to take over.
Right, Raburu, thank you so much. Thank you.
We are here for the next generation.
Okay, go ahead. Well, of course, Raburu, these are very, very enthusiastic supporters of the Orange Party, and of course, saying that they are here to ensure that they express their solidarity with their candidate Raila Odinga. Of course, there is one of the aspirants saying that he's going to dance to a tune that intends to promote the candidature of Raila Odinga. But of course, it's their moment to get an opportunity to express their support. Let's listen in shortly. All right, Raburu, we may not proceed on with the dance, but at least you have seen the enthusiasm among these supporters of the Orange Party and the candidature of Raila Odinga, and so it shows some sort of creativity, because now they are carrying a sound system that has the song, the signature song that they have been using to campaign for Raila Odinga. So of course, they're having their moment, and it's up to the supporters now as they await the arrival of Raila Odinga and his entourage coming to the KICC to present his papers. So now what we have to do, Raburu, is that we'll have to go back to where the presidential candidates are supposed to be presenting their papers, because now we cannot handle the music here, because the supporters have to have their moment, and for us we have to have our moments, and the presidential aspirants have to have their moments. And so let's go and have our moment so that we can wait for the arrival of the presidential candidate Raila Odinga and his entourage, as I said. Raburu.
All right, thank you very much, Sam Gituku there, and having free entertainment for yourself as well. Good job handling the crowd as well. So of course, we're under, like you said, Sam Gituku is out there at the KICC. The shot that you're seeing there is a shot of City Hall, where the supporters of NASA and Raila Amolo Odinga are gathering out there. The NASA flag bearer and the team are at the All Saints Cathedral. They're going to be making their way there to present the papers. But in case you're just joining us, you can see the splash on the screen there. That news just in, that is the presidential the presidential aspirant Abduba Dida. His documents are not certified according to Chebukati, who is the IEBC chair. The self-declaration forms are yet to be signed, and so that is the degree certificate also not certified as well. Dida saying the team is new, his team is new, but he's been given until 4 o'clock today to come in and submit those certified copies afresh. So of course we're going to be keeping tabs with that as well. A reminder that you can follow this conversation online as well. It is at Citizen TV Kenya, and for those who are not able to and they want to stream, it's www.citizentv.co.ke/live. So we're continuing with our coverage of this as well. Now Mike, early on, of course, Dida was bringing in a question about IEBC's preparedness, and throughout this period there have been questions raised about IEBC. Of course, IEBC coming out and clearly stipulating what it is that they had to say, and they presented a list of there was an initial list of 18, and the nominations timetable were posted, and now the 10 out of the 18 they were qualified to run, and they were going to be submitting some of the papers. But remember, IEBC also rejected some nomination signatures of 2,000 supporters unless they're submitted in some Excel format. So is the question about IEBC's preparedness. Do you feel that this time around they are prepared for this exercise?
Well, I strongly believe that IEBC is prepared for this exercise. The only thing that we have to accept, however, is that the commissioners are new in their job and they found a full plate on their trays, and they're trying to clear those trays. They're trying to clear the trays of court cases. People have taken them to court, and some cases ruling have been done, some cases they have to appeal. They are trying to clear the backlog of even procuring election materials that ought to have been here by now. They're trying to, that tender ought to have been given out by now. Remember that just last week the court allowed them now to either try to do single sourcing because of time. IEBC has also been trying to learn the Secretariat and to see that there was a bit of reshuffling that was done, and that was specifically to ensure that people do not go back to their stations, and more so in those very stations that there were a bit of mistrust from the politicians and the electorates who were complaining that perhaps election was not handled well in 2017. We've also just seen another news of their ICT director being suspended. I think that was done, just a few hours ago, because of the polishing of the list of voters that are supposed to be looked into and perhaps be updated. That was not being done in time, and the commissioner decided to let go the ICT director in that case. And so you can see that they've been learning, and they've been really having tough issues, but also they've been having pressure from the politicians. Remember that what politicians say is really takes the news, the center stage news. It takes the headline, and so my whole issue is IEBC has literally been sidetracked by what politicians are saying, but I strongly believe that the secretaries have been doing a good job. They've just posted the returning officers into the sub-counties or the constituencies. That means they're ready, and these people have started verifying the signatures and verifying the voter, the voters' eligibility, and these people are preparing for the election. And so I'm not going to doubt that IEBC is prepared for this election, and by 8th of August. If you're talking about printing of ballot papers, those things will be done within a week. It depends with the capability and the availability of resources, but I tell you, we have very, very sophisticated printing farms out there that will be able to run these things within a week. Once typesetting is done, and once they're fed into the computer, and once they're fed into the system, it can be done. And again, when you talk about transportation in terms of where they're printed and brought into this country, I can tell you within 12 hours you can literally find anything from the world. So I am not worried that IEBC still has time to do what they're supposed to do and to conduct a credible nomination if they want to.
Like also there's a battle for control of the commission where these divisions there are some divisions, between the commissioners and secretariat that has also delayed the 2.5 billion tender for ballot papers and other election materials. Do you think some of these issues, in your view, will be resolved before then, and we can move forward?
I strongly believe that these are teething issues. The ultimate goal is to deliver the August 8th. The division and whether boardroom arguments are there or differences are there, let me tell you, they know that they have the mandate to have an election, and so all these are just teething issue. The ultimate decision sits with the chairman of the commission, and sometimes he can overrule what the commissioner says. Really, in a boardroom situation, you don't have to agree with everybody. Sometimes we will disagree, but that does not mean that work will not be done. I mean, what is ahead of us is that August 8th people go to the polls, and so it doesn't matter how much the commissioners disagree or how much they agree. One thing that the Kenyans are looking forward, and one reason why they were employed, and one reason why they're earning a salary, is for them to hold an election, and that election will be done. So I will not be sidetracked with all these things that are coming out of the media, the differences and sometimes differences of opinion. That does not mean that election will not be had. I believe they will do single sourcing for the electoral ballot papers, and it will be done because of time. Really, they can't open tenders now because these things, the bureaucracy with the government tendering procedure is enormous and sometimes very complicated, and sometimes can also be subjected to a lot of court cases. We have no such time. They will procure somebody that has already printed and has a history of printing ballot papers, and it will be delivered, and so I'm not worried about that.
All right. Of course, also the IEBC is set to test the electronic system at June 10th, and now of course we hopefully that will happen. Of course, Mike saying that everything seems to be going on in place. At the other side there, the NASA principals there, giving to the church as well, as you can see there, as they say, wanatoa sadaka. The statement is give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, as was said. So they're going over there as well. Then also, we're also waiting to hear from Sam Gituku, who is now waiting, because he told us that Jafet Kavunga Kalui, who is an independent candidate, was supposed to arrive, but he asked for some more time. So he's going to be presenting his documents tomorrow. So as soon as Raila Odinga is done here at the All Saints Cathedral, he's going to be moving over to the All Saints Cathedral as well. So in case you're just joining us, we'll continue with our coverage. We want to take just a short commercial break, and we'll be back with some more information. Keep it on television. We are live at the All Saints Cathedral. We are also live at KICC. Sam Gituku, Stephen Leto, and myself and Mike here in studio. Stay with us.